potentially be a wonderful opportunity of settling a conflict on a reality show and giving us wonderful illustrations on how a couple can overcome this conflict.
Yeah. So, Shalay, when we talk about like settling, because that's the word, the operative word of today's topic, but we all said like settling is just a no-go. So let's say somebody's shrinking. Like you have how many? You have two daughters?
Two daughters.
You have two daughters.
Mhm.
So what do you say to your daughters about, once they get into relationships and how to not shrink or how to, how to walk upright?
Did you say shrinking?
Shrinking.
Mhm.
So my daughters are 2 and 8, so we haven't gotten there yet. But I have been having very conscious conversations with myself. We're all operating from some sort of programming. We're all operating from our individual triggers and traumas and everything in relation with other people. So even from what we know, right, we get into conflicts in our current relationships. And when I do get into that, and after the dust has settled, I do personally, like internally, try to be like, okay, now what happened there? And I have thought about like, how would I want my daughter to feel in that moment? How would I want her to show up in that moment? And how would I want her to keep her power and also be able to be empathetic to the other person and compromise? And these are hard questions because most of it is played out in practice. Like we can sit here all day and have the conversations and everything, and that's great. We need to be having these conversations, but the reality of it is you can have conversations, and then when you get into that situation, there's so many nuanced variables that can happen or do happen in that actual situation when it happens to where you thought you would say this or do this. It's kind of different. And you maybe need to move another way, and you may not have the tools. You may not know how to work through that. So for me, and what I want to impart on my daughters is always coming from a place of maintaining your power and not shrinking. That's something that's big. Maintaining your power and not shrinking. And how is this really making you feel? When you're in a relationship with someone else, there's always going to be conflict. You are going to bump heads because you're two individual human beings. You're two individual people with a whole set of pasts, right? But showing up, and especially in a relationship with a man, there are certain things women need to do to maintain their power. And a lot of times we lose that. We lose that in having kids. We lose that in being lost and being in love with someone. We lose that. And I think that that's part of the process, because you can't learn to unlearn it or to reprogram yourself without actually going through that and realizing it. So you can have mama tell you this and mama tell you that and auntie tell you this. We've all been through it. There are things now I'm like, mommy, hi. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, until I actually go through it. Now, there are things that I'm like, I don't need to go through that in order to see, I see when I get it, and I'm going the other way. I'm going to pivot. But there are certain things that even I have gone through, and I'm like, I needed that experience in order to learn through it and to learn how to not go through it again.
That is so true.
Yeah.
So before we go to our next video, Dr. Lene, I was thinking about you and you and your big, bold brand, realness, 6, 7 figure, blah, blah, all the things, all the credentials, the doctor. Now she's wait, did you go to Harvard? Where'd you go to Cornell Brown? Where'd you just go? Cornell? Just went to Cornell, just got all your certificates.